a bottle. You don't see too many bottles these days because we all put stuff in cans. Bottle opener, keyring. I feel if you don't have a bottle opener and a keyring, are you really a beer drinker? Welcome back to ABV TV, where I drink beer on the internet. Today we are drinking Two Birds. Oh, what have I done there? That's a horrible pour. Well, we'll let that settle. Two Birds Sunset Red Ale. The Two Birds Sunset beer, be honest, I haven't had this for quite a long time. I remember when Two Birds, some of their first sort of core range releases was the taco beer, which it's like corn ale or pale ale, however you want to describe it, or Mexican lager. It's probably a better word to describe that one. That was a really good beer, and I should revisit that one because I haven't had that in ages either. And Sunset. There was Sunset, and then I think there was a golden ale, which the name of it escapes me. I know it's no longer in the core range and I don't think they make it anymore. Sunrise? That would probably make logical sense. Yeah, either way. But the Two Bird Sunset Red Ale, and it's still in a bottle, which blows me away. Because usually, any beer that I see in bottles is usually European beers. So like the Germans still like using bottles quite a bit. The Belgians love their beers in bottles because I think those heavier, darker beers kind of deserve to be bottled. But yeah, you rarely see, especially in Australia, beer in a bottle. Everybody's migrated over into cans. So it's kind of nice to see that this one's in a bottle. And I'll continue to ruin this pour horribly, so I do apologize. Clearly, big head. But if you have a look at the color, what's in there, you do actually have a nice red, ruby kind of a color in the beer, which is gorgeous. And I do feel like we're kind of in a bit of a red beer season at the moment, aren't we? Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with that at all. Oh, aroma-wise, this is really good. There's, as expected for a red beer, quite malty. There's also pine sort of coming through on that first smell. Now the malt is really sort of taken over that initial pine flavour that I was getting. And the malt is that kind of that caramelly, toffee sweetness that's coming through on this beer. Gorgeous. As I said, it's been a while since I've had this beer because I've kind of forgotten what it actually tasted like. It does have all the elements of a red IPA, but it's not an IPA. It's more like a red American Pale Ale, or an American Amber Ale, which is probably what it's actually based out of. There's that pine, a little bit of a resin sort of hop flavour in there. Maybe a little bit of grapefruit comes through as well. Definitely a citrus. I'm going to say grapefruit or tangerine, maybe. And then you've got that malt backbone that sort of comes in after and sort of takes over that flavour in your mouth. So what I talked about being on the nose, the caramel, that sort of toffee, that sort of sweetness, that sort of comes through with that as well. For a beer that is 4.8%, so as I said, it's definitely not in that sort of IPA category, but definitely within the realms of a nice hoppy red / amber beer. It is quite carbonated. Yeah, my pour is a bit ordinary, but I think it's also quite carbonated because even on the tongue, there's that fizzy sensation, sort of almost biting the tongue. I kind of regret the fact that it's taken me so long to come back to this beer, because it's a really, really good beer. Two Birds, obviously famously, a women-run brewery. As I said, they've made some fantastic beers in the past. If you ever get a chance to go down to the tap room, I highly recommend that you do that. But they just keep producing great beers and fantastic people, and one of the pioneers, I suppose, of women in the craft beer industry in Australia. And hats off to them for really championing women in beer, because look, the one thing I suppose we can criticise craft beer is that it is a very male dominated, blokes with big beards, glasses and checkered shirts. I did have a checkered shirt on earlier, I'm not going to lie, but yeah, it is. The scene can be a bit of a sausage fest, but it's great to have more and more women be involved in beer and in craft beer. It's awesome. It's good stuff. And these girls are fantastic at what they produce in terms of their beer. So when it comes down to what I recommend, and I say this every time, Two Birds Sunset Ale, go out and get him, because it's good, like really good.